I have another block, and it is super, super easy. You are going to love it. Hi everybody, it is April, and today we are going to make another block using strips for our Quilty Jelly Roll Strip Sampler Quilt. So we have been, over the past few weeks, learning how to make different blocks using 2.5-inch strips, also known as jelly rolls. I don't know if you're going to love it as much as the star block. That is my favorite. And there's actually a pattern for a whole quilt using those stars. And I need to take a picture. Mom and I actually finished the quilt top at the retreat. And I meant to include a picture of that quilt last week. Now I have to find it because, you know, I unpacked. But wait, Craftsy reached out to me a couple weeks ago and said, would you be willing to share information about our platform on your channel? And I said, sure. So Craftsy is sponsoring this video. Thank you, Craftsy. This is actually where I found the block for this week. So there was a class that featured this particular block. Now, it was a whole quilt, and it was a really cute quilt. I wanted to share that with you. The blocks were smaller, and I think I'm going to make mine bigger, but it came from Craftsy. And while I was perusing, Angela Walters, who is renowned for her free motion quilting, had a show, and the episodes are out there and you can watch them out there, along with so many other classes. And they're all geared towards crafting. So there's quilting, sewing, crochet, just all kinds of classes out there. If you are one of the first 1,000 people to click on the link in the description below, you will get a full year premium membership to Craftsy for $1.49. I don't even know what you can buy for $1.49 anymore, and I certainly don't know of anything that will give you more value for your money. So make sure you check that out. This is for new memberships only. Oliver got here just in time. What you're going to need for this project is a low volume fabric and your strips. Now, I'm going to be making a 17-inch square out of my low volume fabric. The reason that I am doing this is because I want my block to end up being 16.5 inches. So I'm going to make it a little bigger than what I need and then cut it down to the 16.5 inches. I think, based on the other blocks that I've cut out for this project, that is going to be the size of my blocks for the sampler quilt. First, let me square up the end. All right, and then I'm going to measure 17 inches. Then I'm going to scoot my kitty over. Look, he's going to hold down the ruler for me. Okay, so then I'm going to make sure this is still 17 inches. I'm going to butt up the rulers next to one another. Whoops, moved the wrong one. So this should be 17 inches. Then I'm going to move that out of the way. And I'm going to cut out a 17-inch strip. Okay. That is probably the hardest part of this whole project. Now, I do need to cut my selvages off. And this Kai ruler so it's always closed until you put pressure on it, and that's when the blade opens. So it keeps Oliver safe. All right, I don't know that I will want to make 2 of these blocks, but you know what? Pretty sure I will. So again, I'm going to use this ruler to measure 17 inches. I have about 40 inches with the fabric. I've got a paw that's not, okay, there we go. So my decorations are getting in my way. I know you all never have that issue. Okay, so this is a straight line. It's on my 17 inches. Make sure that my ruler starts with a 1, and here comes Oliver. Now, watch out, dude. So now, you move a kitty again. I need a ruler that will go from corner to corner. You're bad. Here we have our square. We are going to be writing on the right side of our fabric. I ran an iron over my block. There is a 1/4 inch mark along my ruler. So what I want to do is I want to go from corner to corner, but I want to go over, and I really want my 1/4 inch mark on my ruler to line up from corner to corner diagonally on my square. And then I'm going to take a pen and I'm going to mark. Now this is an air erasable pen, so this mark will go away. Okay. And there's my mark. I want to find a strip of fabric that is long enough to go along this marked line. Now I have all kinds of strips left over from what I've been working on. And this strip isn't quite long enough. Now I think that is the longest strip that I have. And what I'm going to need are strips that get shorter and shorter as we get to the edge of this block. All right, so I think I need to pull out a longer strip. I do have solids, but I don't think I want to use a solid because half of my block is going to be a solid anyway. So I'm going to cut the selvage off, and then I'm going to line this up, and it's long enough, so I do want some overlap. So I made sure my strip is long enough, and now I'm going to put right sides together. So the way that I determine which side my fabric goes on, I want my fabric, my line has already started disappearing. My line is here. I want my fabric right side on the side where the point is exposed. So this is the side of my block that has the most fabric. And that's where I want to line up my strip. So my strip will be facing wrong side up along this line that is away from the point on the block. So here you see, here's my stitch line. Let me hold it up there so you can see right here. Now when I fold this back and finger press it, it is on the point of my block. Now, I do want to press this, so I make sure it's really flat because we're going to be adding more to the block. So here is my first piece of fabric. Now, let's find another piece. Now this piece does not have to, that's not long enough. Oh, here's Oliver. He's been tormenting his sister. Okay, scoot. All right, so this piece is plenty long enough. What I need to do is I need to make sure that when I line it up, and I'm going to sew it a 1/4 inch seam in from the edge of the first strip, I want to make sure when I fold it over that it passes these sides of my block, and it does. And you can pin it, you don't have to. You can actually clip this. You're just going to have to remove the clip before you get too close because you are stitching these strips down to your fabric. For this particular project, it's really nice if you can use the edge of your foot going along the edge of your fabric to measure your 1/4 inch, because you really have no visibility to the bed of your machine. All right, so now we just finger press this piece over, and then we press it with our iron. Look how pretty. All right, let's see. I need another, let's see. Nope, that strip isn't long enough. Let's see if our pink is. Okay, our pink is long enough now. So let me flip this over. And pin, clip, whatever it is you're most comfortable with, just to hold it in place. Don't run over pins with your machine. I know we did it in the olden days, but you're not supposed to do it. It's like seat belts. Gotta have them now. And we just keep going and going until we cover the whole corner. So here is our block. What do you think? No? Okay. How about let's trim the edges and then we can really see what our block looks like. Now I only have to trim down 2 sides because I only added fabric to these 2 sides. All right, let's flip this over. So the reason that I want to do a stitching or a victory lap around the outside edge is especially so this doesn't come loose. And I don't even have to go all the way around. I just want to stitch this side and this side so these ends won't stretch out. Now let's put the ruler here and see how much we've sucked up while sewing. This guy still is pretty much at 17.5 inches. So what we're going to do now, I want to keep the majority of this on my block. So I am going to turn my quilt this way, and I'm going to measure on this edge 16.5 inches. Not going to take off much, but it will put it at the same size as the rest of my blocks. Let me scoot this over. Okay. And I'm going to be careful. My wool mat. I haven't perfected this space just yet. Okay. 16.5, 16.5. Whoops, I may have moved something. Yep, I moved. Okay, so I need to pick up my ruler, not drag it. Okay, so I'm going to trim 16.5. And then I'm going to turn it this way. And measure 16.5 inches. Or I could do this. All right, 16.5 inches. I'm going to get it to the middle of my block. Drag it this way. There we go. I'll eventually get this space worked out. All right. I want to make sure that I get everything nice and straight. 16.5. Okay. So how is this for my block? I'm going to stitch probably like 1/8 of an inch in from the edge on these two sides. And then we'll see it on the design wall with the rest of the sampler blocks. So I'm looking at this block thinking, it looks a little boring when it's just this block by itself. So I took the liberty of making smaller blocks using different colors so that you can see what this particular block design can do. In my Craftsy class, she shows different layouts that you can make using these half square triangles, which is similar to what we did when we had the half square triangle challenge. I think Oliver thinks I'm going to try and cut something. So, while you're watching Oliver, I'm going to rearrange these. And here is another design. So I've got diamonds in the middle, kind of a chevron thing going on. I just wanted to show you that this isn't quite as boring as it seems. And I can put all these together and make them into a baby quilt for my new granddaughter. And my block is complete. When I first thought about making this, I thought about just sewing strips together and then cutting them into a square and putting the strips face down on top of a square white piece of fabric, putting the blocks right sides together, so one side would be strips and one side would be flat fabric, and then drawing the line down the center and sewing on either side and making it a half square triangle. This was much easier than that. I didn't have to worry as much about the stretchiness of my strips. So I'm so glad that I caught that Craftsy show. We're getting closer to having enough blocks to complete our strip or jelly roll sampler quilt. But there is so much more to come, so many things that you can do with jelly roll strips that I'm just going to keep making blocks until, I get tired of jelly roll strips. I still have the emails with the people who want scraps. I have not forgotten you. I have just not gotten them out yet, but it is on my list of things to do. Don't worry, I won't forget you. So I will get those out, I promise. Just be a little patient with me. I am taking the trip of a lifetime to Ireland. I'm going to put the link in the description below. I hope that you all would like to join me on that trip. It is in September. It is getting really close to the deadline for having to make the decision on whether or not you want to go. So check it out. If you have any questions, let me know. My email is aprilscraftroom@gmail.com. And if you just want to talk to me or ask me a question about quilting or whatever, just reach out. I love to hear from you guys. You all are awesome. You have made me so happy with watching my channel and asking questions and, even helping me, giving me advice. I do really, really appreciate that. Have a great day, eat some chocolate, and be kind to everyone. Until next time, bye. And then doing the design and then had a series called The Midnight Quilter. So I think we're just gonna keep